Welcome to FOOBONG Directly Store. This iPhone XR screen replacement kit have all tools you will need during repairing. The paper installation guides. A screen protector. A waterproof sticker. A iPhone XR LCD display. A cleaning wipes. A magnetic screw mat. A suction cup. To pry pick. A SIM card pin. A tweezers. A crowbar. A nylon fiber spudgers. A pentalobe screwdriver. A Phillips screwdriver. A Y-shaped screwdriver. Before you begin, discharge your iPhone battery below 25%. A charged lithium-ion battery can catch fire and/or explode if accidentally punctured. Power off your iPhone before beginning disassembly. You'll need a pentalobe screwdriver to open the iPhone XR. Remove the two 6.7 mm long pentalobe screws at the bottom edge of the iPhone. Put the screws in the same field of your magnetic pad. To lift the front panel, you'll need a suction cup, a hard plastic pick and a heat gun. If the screen is severely cracked, cover all of it with packing tape before you continue. The screen is glued to the frame. Use a heat gun to heat the outer edges of the display to about 60 degrees Celsius, 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Place the suction cup at the bottom of the display. While lifting the screen with the suction cup, insert the hard plastic pick between the frame and the display and press down the frame. Do not insert your tool more than 5 mm into the gap, so you don't damage small parts inside the iPhone. Because the display is glued on, you'll have to slide the pick all around the iPhone between the aluminum frame and the display frame. Don't stick the pick in too far on the side, where the sleep-wake button is, because that could damage the display flex cables. Don't try to fully separate the display yet, as several fragile ribbon cables still connected to the iPhone's logic board. Remove the two 1.2 mm Y000 screws, securing the display connector bracket. Remove the 5 screws securing the logic board connector bracket to the rear case. One 1.3 mm Phillips screw. One 1.5 mm Phillips screw. 3 1.2 mm Y000 screws. Remove 3 1.2 mm Y000 screws, securing the battery connector cover bracket. Then take off the bracket plate. Put all the parts on the same field of your magnetic pad. Disconnect the battery contact to prevent short circuits and avoid accidentally turning on your device during the repair. Now very carefully pry off the battery contact by inserting a spudger under the connector. Disconnect the display cable connector and digitizer cable connector. If any part of your screen doesn't respond to touch after your repair, disconnect the battery and then reseat this connector, making sure it clicks fully into place and that there's no dust or other obstruction in the socket. Separate the connectors for display and earpiece one by one. If all connectors are off, you can remove the display. There may still be glue residue on the frame and display. Put all the parts on the same field of your magnetic pad. Next, remove the speaker and the sensor assembly. Remove the 4 screws securing the speaker sensor assembly to the back of the display. 2 1.6 mm Phillips screws. 1 2.3 mm Phillips screw. 1 1.2 mm Y000 screw. When removing the earpiece, take care not to damage the sensitive flex cable connecting the earpiece and the sensors. Be very careful, you can't replace this part. If it breaks, the Face ID function no longer works. Put all the parts on the same field of your magnetic pad. Preparing the new display unit. FOOBONG's compatible iPhone XR screens come with pre-installed rear panels. front camera holder, infrared camera holder, sensor holder. You don't need to transfer them from the old screen. Before installing the new screen, please test the basic functions of the new screen first. When connecting the connectors, make sure the connectors are seated correctly, and don't slide them over the sockets on the logic board to avoid damaging the contacts. Make sure that any steps should be connected to the battery cable last to avoid a short circuit. Before you finally close the device, you should test it to make sure that all functions work. Test the touchscreen, select an app and drag it all around the display. If the app follows your finger everywhere, the touchscreen is working correctly. Test the brightness of the display. You can use the voice memo app to test the microphone, speakers, earpiece and proximity sensor. Turn off the phone again after the test is complete. Disconnect the battery cable, digitizer cable, display cable. When you officially install the screen, peel the protective film off the new display and remove the seals. Installing the earpiece and the sensors. Take the flex cable with the earpiece and the sensors. Stick the sensors through their openings in the display. Press the sensors in a little to seat them properly. Also attach the small metal holder above the ambient light sensor. Fold down the earpiece and position the screw holes so they sit over the threads of the display. Use the different screws to fasten the earpiece. Do not mix up the screws, and do not tighten them too tightly, as they may shine through at the front of the display. Attaching a new frame sticker. To make sure that the new frame sticker will really stick, remove all glue residue and dirt from the metal frame. Please make sure the frame sticker is positioned correctly. Each corner has a different shape, which you can use for orientation. Remove the first protective film layer of the frame sticker. Position the frame sticker carefully on one edge of the frame and attach it gradually. Make sure the frame sticker is positioned evenly and press it on. You can use the plastic spudger to press the adhesive on. Remove the next large protective film. An iPhone repaired with a frame sticker will be protected against dust and spray water, but it will not be 100% waterproof. Connecting the display. When connecting the connectors, make sure the connectors are seated correctly, and don't slide them over the sockets on the logic board to avoid damaging the contacts. Connect the earpiece connector. Connect the two display connectors. Connect the battery connector. Put the cover plate on and screw it on. Do not mix up the screws and do not tighten them too tightly. Put on the small cover plate and screw it on with the Y-type screws. Insert the bracket plate and fasten it with the Y-type screws. Installing the display. Take the display in both hands and slowly press it down. Make sure it sits properly everywhere in the frame, and gradually press it down all over. Screw the two pentalobe screws to the left and right of the lightning connector into the enclosure. Our products are strictly tested before shipment to ensure that the perfect product is delivered to the customer. If you have any problems with the products you receive, please feel free to contact the store customer service or official email. We will give you a satisfactory solution. Thank you for choosing FOOBONG.